Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we're trying out our new way of discussing Sesame Street. Previously, our plan was to wait until the end of a decade in our chronological order and discuss the entire decade at once, which turned out to be a little overwhelming.
When you put it that way, it sounds like a really bad idea.
Yeah, and we've done that a couple times with, music and commercials and things, and so...
And it hurts me. It's painful.
You'd think we would have learned by now, but, baby steps, Sam. We're slowly adjusting here, figuring this out.
In 5 years, we'll be good at podcasting.
Yeah, just hold out, everyone. Just wait until 5 years from now when we're good at this. But we've decided to go ahead and discuss a new season every time we get to it in our schedule. But as we mentioned in the past, we can only cover so many Sesame Street episodes because by this point in late 1979, they had aired over 1,300 episodes. And we don't have time to watch and discuss all of those.
No
one
Somebody
does.
else needs to start a sister podcast to ours called we'll think of a good title.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
So this week we are going to be discussing season 11 of Sesame Street, which premiered on November 26th, 1979. And in preparation, we watched 2 episodes from season 11, episode 1364, which actually aired on January 31st, 1980, and episode 1396, which aired on March 17th, 1980. And we chose those 2 episodes partially because they're readily available for you to watch on HBO Max, but also because this week when the podcast is coming out will be May the 4th.
You clever man.
Look at me. But both of these episodes feature C-3PO and R2-D2 visiting Sesame Street.
A little bit of marketing synergy happening on Sesame Street. I got to imagine some people were not happy about this, but there's no record of that, is there?
I mean, I don't, why would they be mad?
Because it's like marketing to your children a week before the second Star Wars comes out. It's like, hey, remember these guys, kids? Bug your parents to go see a movie. But this is PBS,
Yeah, but they don't say, and I can't wait until the Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, R2, I'm getting word the Empire is striking back. Goodbye.
Ooh, it's getting a bit chilly, like that planet Hoth we're about to head to. Yeah, I think we will talk about this at length probably, but the understanding of is Star Wars is real in the Sesame Street universe, apparently.
Yeah. So is Sesame Street Earth? Is it an alternate Earth? It must be an alternate Earth.
I guess so.
And then the Muppet Show also must take place on this alternate Earth where Star Wars is real. But then Mark Hamill's on. Who knows?
There's a lot of
But Mark Hamill's on as Luke Skywalker, right?
That's true. There is a Mark Hamill and a Luke Skywalker.
So it's real. It's real in this universe and a movie, too.
So Kermit and Yoda both exist in the same universe. We also watched a few other Sesame clips this week. Some, one, I think, from season 11, but the other ones just kind of get to get a feel for what we're talking about this week.
Did we watch 4?
Yes. So we watched 4 clips this week. One was a clip of Kermit performing Disco Frog from season 11. And partially I featured that because it was one of those best of season 11 clips.
Okay. I was really confused because the way you pitched it to me was what you're about to say.
And we watched a few other clips that were very early Elmo clips to get a feel for what Elmo was like in the early days of Sesame Street because he will be our Muppet of the Week this week.
So I definitely skimmed back through Disco Frog being like, where's Elmo, huh?
Yeah, I didn't make that very clear to you. Sorry, Sam. The main reason I shared Disco Frog is because not only is it a standout moment in season 11 of Sesame Street, but also because we're about to see it again on The Muppet Show very soon.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, they do a different version of it. The same song, but staged differently in the Christopher Reeve episode. So we will see that soon again.
Just the song kicks ass.
I guess so. The
Okay.
Sesame Disco album had just come out not that long ago, and they were like, we gotta
More
make these
buzz
songs
marketing.
last.
Yeah.
But before we get to talking about any of that in detail, Sam, we finally got our grubby little paws on some Muppet Lego minifigs.
You say finally as a week before they're supposed to actually come out.
Well, yeah, but we've been talking about it for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
They were starting to come out. People had been finding them in their local Targets, and we hadn't been able to find them for a while. But finally, our local Target broke their street date, and there are now dozens of them just strewn about the shelves.
Yeah. And I stood there like a complete goon, feeling teeny tiny little heads in plastic.
Which apparently you're much better at it than I am, because you texted me saying, hey, I was at Target. I found like 9 of the 12 minifigs. You should get over there and get them. So I headed on over there, and I found 6 that I was confident about, and I ended up getting 1 duplicate. And I was like, wow, I'm really bad at feeling these things, because some of the characters I was like, I got a Ralph for sure, turned out to be like Miss Piggy or somebody.
No.
And I was like, I'm really bad at feeling these things.
In retrospect, I should have hidden the other set somewhere. So I could have just been like, Matt, go move this box and you will find these characters.
Send me a little Target quest.
Yes, that would be fun. I could leave you clues.
That seems like an almost nice thing to do.
Well,
like, hey, I pulled aside
you
all
just
these...
suggested it. It can't be a quest if I'm just like, go here. Do you know how quests work?
I mean, I've never been on one, so I kind of just go off of what movies say, and usually the quest is never like laid out by a good guy.
No, or I'd have to appear to you like in a dream and be like, behind the box of mini wheat shredded, you will find the place you are headed. See, I'm good at it.
You're pretty good at it. I think you should start making quests more often. But we're both currently not in possession of a Gonzo and a Kermit, and you don't have a Waldorf, right?
I don't have a Waldorf, and you don't have a Statler, right?
You're right, and I don't have a Rolf either. So,
Okay.
But yeah, overall, Sam, I guess, how do you feel about this selection of Muppets? Do you feel like there's anyone who shouldn't have gotten a Lego that maybe should have been somebody else?
And I think if you're doing only one set of these, they probably picked the most marketable characters for that one set of them. I think Janice is the one who's maybe most on the edge of like A tier, B tier Muppet who could be replaced by somebody else, but I don't know, like a Scooter or something. What do you think?
Yeah, to me, I kind of feel like there are some other people that I could have seen included and wouldn't have like batted an eye. Like I think Sam Eagle would have been one that...
Yeah.
If they would have had him included, would have made perfect sense to me to have him in the first batch. Especially if we're going off of sort of, they're obviously doing more classic Muppet Show style theming. They're not thinking so much about the more modern day things.
You're not going to get your Johnny Fiammas.
Right. Or even like Pepe and Rizzo aren't included here.
Oh, yeah.
They should make them in those little like mini figs.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet I have my second series all written out already.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
So in the next series, you can lock this in. This is a guarantee. If they make one, which I feel like they probably will, I think you can expect to see Kermit in a tuxedo, Miss Piggy in an alternate outfit, maybe a karate gi. You'll see Floyd. You'll see Dr. Teeth. You'll see Zoot. You'll see Scooter, Lou Zealand, Sam Eagle, Robin, maybe. I'm a little iffy on Robin. A Gonzo in a Daredevil outfit. And he will come with a Rizzo accessory. That's not enough, though. I need one more.
I mean, we could have Crazy Harry. We could have Sweetums.
Oh. You think they do Sweetums, though? He's so big.
They can do like the Chewbacca thing where they give him like a taller body that like fits on the legs.
I've put Sweetums. He's the last one.
I could see most of those happening. I'd honestly be surprised if they do more alternate outfits before they start adding in more Muppets. Like, I don't see them not including Pepe.
In the second series of Simpsons characters, you got all the Simpsons in their Sunday best, as well as all of the other characters. We don't even have damn Lenny and Carl. But we got Homer in his little church outfit.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think I was just picturing them having more characters like a Pepe and Rizzo, like having their own minifigs. But I could see Rizzo being a little accessory, like
so tiny
minifig with Gonzo. And hopefully they would do the same for Pepe.
You could do a Pepe and a Rizzo in the same bag, and they'd be both be the little short leg guys.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously I am very happy to have these Muppet Legos. I'm hoping to get all of them soon. And it would be nice to have a playset to go along with them.
I don't really know what to do with them. They're just kind of sitting in my house.
Mine are all lined up in front of my Muppet book shelf that I have.
Oh, that makes sense.
But yeah, also like, it would be nice if there was a full-on Muppet Show theater or something else to place them with. But let's go ahead and talk about what we're here to talk about. Sam, what did we watch this week?
On January 31st, 1980, we're in the 80s, baby, children tuning into Sesame Street were treated to a bit of shameless promotional brainwashing as lovable Star Wars droids R2-D2 and C-3PO stop by for a visit. R2 is on another one of his secret missions to deliver an important communique. This particular mission brings the duo to Earth, where Big Bird sees their craft land. As he goes off and tells the adults, who obviously in a situation very similar to the Snuffleupagus situation don't believe him, tells them about the spaceship, the pair of robots shuffle out, and everybody sees them right away, so that we don't have to suffer the whole episode with Big Bird trying to swear that there are robots. So R2 and 3PO bum around Sesame Street for a bit, meeting the residents. They get fixed up at the Fix-It shop, and they look for their secret target, who turns out to be Oscar the Grouch. R2 plays his message, which turns out to simply be an insult sent to Oscar from a spaceborne Grouch named Lothar, and then they hang out with Big Bird a little bit more before fucking off back into space. Then, on March 17th, coincidentally, about a week before Empire Strikes Back was to be released, we find Big Bird waiting at the bus stop for who else but R2 and C-3PO. And this time, they seem like they're on shore leave, basically visiting Earth purely for pleasure. R2 gets a little bit more to do this time than he did the first time, discovering, for instance, that he can communicate with Linda, and then going off and falling in love with a fire hydrant. The pair kind of just hang out with Big Bird for a bit, talk about going to the park and stuff. Eventually they get to go to the park, and also eventually, I assume, they both fuck off into space again. Highlights of these episodes include pretty much every bit of every Muppet sketch there is on Sesame Street, which I love Sesame Street so much. The storytime segments, which this time deal with a king who is saved by a fireman and makes everybody else in the kingdom be a fireman. And then another one, which is a twist on the Frog Prince that devolves into complete chaos, are fantastic. Some of my favorite stuff we've ever seen. Grover continues to be a sweet, a lovable moron, and my favorite current Muppet, as he tries to sell Kermit a toothbrush and Fat Blue a very tiny hamburger. And then it's not really Muppet stuff, but there is a lot of really amazing animation on Sesame Street, and I'm very curious to see in the future if that kind of thing continues. I feel like maybe you don't see as much experimental animation on Sesame Street these days, but I haven't watched it in a long time because I ain't a baby.
I feel like it's also, similar to the experimental puppetry that we saw early on the Muppet Show, where they were trying some more stuff out, and as things become more commercially successful, they're maybe leaning away from the experimental stuff because they're like, oh, this other thing we're doing works just fine. We don't need to try this weird stuff out.
Yeah, I guess so. But we're really far into Sesame Street at this point. And
that's true. It is the 11th
still
season
doing that, but it's probably a lot of stuff that they had made in the early days of Sesame Street anyway.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is repeated from very early episodes.
Yeah. Then we watched a few very early appearances of another extremely marketable character, Elmo. In the first two things we watched, Elmo is just one of a handful of nameless monsters singing a couple of songs, lacking the voice and characterization of the Elmo we know. In the third one, Elmo is named Elmo, but he seems to be extremely sick. He basically sounds like Muttley from Wacky Races. He's just like, yes, shoo, ha, 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 ha. And is more beast than man as he tries to put on Big Bird's giant rain gear. Then, for reasons unknown to me, but known now, we watched Kermit sing a song called Disco Frog and then dance with his own ghost.
Yeah, which basically what that was is I was just looking for a playlist of Sesame Street Season 11 highlights, and I found one that was 2 hours long and was like, oh, well, I'm not putting us through that, but this seems cool, so I'll include that.
So we'll be covering the 80s in excruciating detail, I assume. But it is worth mentioning, and probably obvious that around this time, and after what seems like a fairly lengthy and difficult production process, a little movie called Empire Strikes Back came out. Its release was met with accolades and lots of money, but also a lot of confusion from audience and critic alike, focused mostly on its radical departure in tone from the goofier previous entry. Nowadays, though, Empire Strikes Back is widely regarded as the best Star Wars movie. And this information, and the fact that the movie that came after Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, sucks ass.
Wow.
This has led me to the conclusion that Disney purposefully made the sequel trilogy follow the same pattern of good but goofy first movie, great but divisive second movie, and unlovable and shitty third movie.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sure
know,
that was their goal, Sam. They were
but
like,
I don't know
let's
why
make a
they've done
terrible
this.
movie. I'm sure that's exactly what they were planning.
I don't know why they've done this, but they surely have done this.
I don't think that was their plan.
But it would accidentally happen. Isn't it weird that it accidentally happened, though?
I think I think it makes sense from a storytelling point of view that they have great ideas.
Uh-huh.
They can build a cliffhanger in because you don't have to resolve a cliffhanger,
That's
a dark
true.
middle chapter. But endings are hard. Whether it's a comedy sketch, whether it's a giant trilogy of movies, endings are always going to be hard. And when you bill your ending as the conclusion to the greatest saga of movies of all time,
Yeah.
that's a lot of pressure to put on one movie.
That's true. But
So,
they
yeah.
could have tried a little harder, don't you think? I'm sure we all have our fan-written versions of that movie, right?
I'm sure they're all terrible.
Mine's good.
No, it's not. I bet.
think it kicks
Everybody else, everyone's, fan written episode 9 that I've ever heard is terrible.
So you think it's impossible for there to have been a good episode?
No.
9?
I think there were mistakes made with episode 9 that could have been fixed if given time. I think the number one issue with episode 9 is that
It's
they
bad.
had like a year to make it. Like they had gotten rid of the original idea and had to make it up in like a year and a half, which is like they gave J.J. Abrams like 3 years or whatever for the first one, where he had time to write things out, make things make sense, etc. And they were just like, hey, you want to make the last one? You have to do it next year though. And he's like, shit, okay, I'll figure something out.
They should have kept his ass away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree, but the original pitch that I've heard for the original episode 9 idea is also very bad. So I don't really know what would make a good episode 9, but
Mine's good. I do.
I
It would be mine.
I can't just like support that blindly. So I'm gonna say it's bad.
Disney, hit me up. We can remake it. It's not too late.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely on their priority list is
We got that
remaking a
guy-
movie that made them $1 billion.
We got that guy be in Moon Knight right now. We can borrow him for a second. Be like, hey, be Kylo Ren again or whatever your name is.
Yeah, I now fully trust you, Sam, to make episode 9 when you don't even know the characters' names.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're here to talk about Star Wars this week because we watched specifically some Star Wars Sesame Street episodes. This episode's coming out on the May the 4th week, and we've actually got a couple more episodes coming up in the next month or two where we'll be even talking about Star Wars even more. So,
Because we'll just literally be talking about Star Wars.
yes, we are going to be doing a sort of bonus Empire Strikes Back episode at some point when we get there in our actual chronological order. This week, we're kind of dancing around with the chronological order because we're going off of when Sesame Street Season 11 started, as opposed to when these episodes actually aired, which is why we're dipping into the 80s a little bit, and then next week we're going to pull back into 1979 just a little bit. So this first episode aired on January 31st, 1980. On HBO Max, if you want to watch it, it is just called R2-D2 and C-3PO Visit Sesame Street. If you want to watch it anywhere else, it is episode 1364, so you can search for that if you have a DVD set, or I guess it's on YouTube maybe. Sesame Street's weird in the way that it's packaged and sold.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as season 11 goes, I think the biggest thing that happens in season 11 that we did not watch is at the beginning of the season, there's a 6-episode mini-series where the Sesame Street crew visits Puerto Rico. And they actually filmed on location.
So is it
And
Maria's family? Is that right?
yeah, for her 21st birthday, I think they go there
Whoa,
to
what the
celebrate. Yeah. And we did not watch that because it's 6 episodes and that would be 6 hours of Sesame Street watching this week. And we just didn't have that much free time. But overall, season 11 doesn't seem like it was a big one for a lot of new like changes in the world of Sesame. Obviously, Elmo is the biggest one. We will talk about him a lot more later. But as far as like new characters, it seems like I think he was the only one added in season 11.
Does he find his voice in this season?
Oh, no, he doesn't find his voice for quite a while, Sam.
Oh, okay.
But in this season, we do have some interesting, at least the little Muppet Wiki summaries, make them sound interesting. Some plot lines. We have Barkley gets fleas,
Oh, dear.
which, sounds unfortunate. There was one that says, Mr. Hooper and David's grandmother go to the senior citizens dance,
Oh, that's cute.
which, I just love the idea that there's an entire episode focused around trying to get these two to go to
on
this
a
dance
date.
together. Yeah.
Finally get these two to do it. They've been dancing around it forever.
But yeah, and they also, during the season, re-aired their miniseries from Hawaii and another of other repeat episodes from previous seasons as well. But yeah, getting into this episode, it's weird and nice to watch Sesame Street in the context of when it's airing. Like watching, all of the Muppet Show we've been watching and then getting to Sesame Street is kind of nice to know where Kermit was at in like the public eye, I guess. It was like what people's view of Kermit was at this point after the Muppet movie and watching the Muppet Show. And then they're like, hey, he's back there on Sesame Street hanging out with his old friends.
Are the skits he's in, though, old? They're just from before that, right?
I think a lot of them are. I don't know if all of them are, but I think at least you can tell the ones where he's wearing his old double collar
Right.
And things. It's like, okay, clearly he did not have, maybe Jim didn't have time to come over from London during the filming of this batch, because I think all of the Bert and Ernie and the Kermit ones from this batch, I think, are all repeated from earlier episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The only new Muppet things in these episodes, I believe, are the things featuring Carol Spinney.
Okay. But the Grover the Salesman one is just from the season before. So they were still pretty actively making skits for Sesame Street.
Oh, yes, and they would be until Jim's death. But
Okay.
I think as far as, the scheduling goes, they had to figure out, okay, some episodes we are not going to have Jim and Frank on set for, so
Right.
we're going to have to reuse a lot of old stuff.
Right. Yeah, and at this point it does seem like Frank and Jim's characters do not show up in the street scenes probably very frequently at all.
Which is one of the biggest bummers for me of this batch of episodes we watched, because I feel like R2-D2 and C-3PO need to meet Bert and Ernie.
Yeah, and there's a part where R2's trying to tell them who he's trying to get to, and they're like, oh, could be Grover. But it's like, you guys can't afford Grover. It ain't Grover. Don't pretend like it's Grover.
We're not going to have a Frank Oz and R2-D2 reunion.
Yeah, it's either Big Bird or Oscar. Let's be straight.
That's who you got. You got one man. You can interact with him either happy or angry.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the episode, we have, I guess, a flying saucer landing.
Oh, yeah, an Atari flying saucer.
Yeah, we just have a little blippy light flying through the sky,
Yeah.
and Big Bird has no idea what it is, but he's really freaked out. It does turn out that it was some sort of spaceship that R2-D2 and C-3PO traveled on to come to Earth, but unfortunately does not look anything like any spaceship we have ever seen.
No.
In
especially
Star
not in Star Wars, but also not in anything except Atari games. You think it would be cheaper just to get like a cardboard cutout of a thing and just go,
Part of me wonders if they were doing the thing where you just like look off screen and they're like, oh my God, the spaceship is landing.
Right.
And they just were banking on that working well enough that they could just, have Big Bird describing what is happening and not show it. And then somebody at the end of the day was like, we should probably show something, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know, I can make this blinky light happen. I have a new computer. Watch this. Bleep, 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 bleep. And it's like, perfect.
Kids are too stupid. They're not going to know what Big Bird's talking about.
I do like that Big Bird is just having a nice little walk. He's like describing how lovely of a day it is.
He's like singing the theme song.
Yeah.
I love when he sees it and he goes, hark, what's that I hear?
Yeah, a few characters, and I think this happens forever on Sesame Street, switch between talking like a 40-year-old man and talking like a 2-year-old baby.
Yeah, I love that shit. Grover does. I feel like Grover is the main offender of that, and I love that.
There's literally a sketch in the next episode where Grover can't read and also doesn't know what a bus is.
Yeah. Super Grover is much stupider than regular Grover, it seems
Yeah.
like.
You can't be a waiter if you don't know what a bus is.
You can't have that many jobs, buddy.
But Big Bird is trying to convince the adults and the kids that there were some metal men that came out of a UFO. But when he's trying to talk to them about it, and they're like trying to guess what came out of there, one of the guesses is Mr. Snuffleupagus. And Big Bird is incensed and says, Mr. Snuffleupagus wouldn't come from outer space. He lives in a cave 2 blocks from here.
Is that the first time they mention him living in a cave? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
There's like 1,000 episodes between this and the last one we've watched. So.
Yeah. It's not suggested that it is Mr. Snuffleupagus. It is Maria taunting Big Bird.
Oh, right. Yeah, because much like you, I had the fear that this entire episode was going to be them not believing him that R2-D2 and C-3PO are here. But thankfully, they see them pretty immediately.
Yeah. You think maybe then they'd be like, well, maybe there is a Mr. Snuffleupagus. But in the next episode, and later in this one, David still is incensed at the idea of Mr. Snuffleupagus. And a real child guesses Mr. Snuffleupagus. And then David's like, no, that's just pretend stuff. And that's when I kind of got the feeling that, like, maybe it is bad that Mr. Snuffleupagus is pretend. Like, if they're going to yell at actual children on set about Mr. Snuffleupagus, maybe that's a problem.
And they still wouldn't realize that was a problem for like 6 more years.
Oh, boy. That's such a long time for that stupid gag.
We get a few, obviously, as Sesame Street is wont to do, we get a few filmed segments throughout these episodes. The first of which we see is a boy watching football and seeing a slow motion replay and saying, God, I wish I could watch normal things in slow motion.
And then, like, the finger curls down on the monkey's paw, and then he can't.
And the first thing he is forced to watch is his dog drinking milk in slow motion.
So much milk. That was so much milk for a dog.
I didn't think dogs drank milk ever.
I don't think they should. I think they will get diarrhea.
But yeah, we have to watch a dog's tongue curling and drinking milk in slow motion.
Ugh,
and then
nasty.
The boy's mom is cracking an egg into a bowl where it seems like she's
bit.
maybe making a cake or something.
It's a little bit sexy, I gotta say.
The slow egg yolk?
Yeah.
Is it the act of cracking the egg, or is it just watching the yolk drip down?
I think it's the porno music that's playing as this is all happening.
The music is a little weird.
Yeah. He now, unfortunately, has to live his whole life watching everything go so slow, though. He's in hell.
Just anything, like, throughout his normal day, a day takes 5 days to get through.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. Poor kid. He shouldn't have wished that.
And then we get something that feels very Muppet Showy. We get a Sesame Street Newsflash / Sesame Sports segment where Kermit is reporting live from the race of the tortoise and the hare.
Louis Kazagger should be taking notes. This is how you do this shit.
Well, and not only is Kermit there to report, but he's apparently also there to win the race.
He doesn't mean to.
He does not mean to, but he definitely does.
Yeah.
He goes to the finish line to report on the finish of the race and ends up just crossing the finish line. And apparently everyone there is like, yeah, that counts.
I love this. It reminded me of like classic Looney Tunes. And I think the writing on Sesame Street is funnier than the writing on The Muppet Show. I'm not sure why that is.
I would tend to agree. Throughout the segments of R2-D2, C-3PO, and Big Bird, there are some things that Big Bird says in these segments that just feels too funny for Sesame Street. And same with the Grover segments, where it just is surprising how funny it is.
I have a couple things to say about the next street scene, I guess.
When C-3PO and R2-D2 are getting oiled up.
Yeah.
That's when they are requesting some refreshments. But what they mean is they need some brake fluid for R2-D2 to just like dump into his head that he can consume.
I suppose it's universally all the same stuff, brake fluid is.
I guess. It looks like iced tea when Luis brings it out to him.
Yeah. It's just in a big glass.
Yeah. He's like, here, I got this. How do I give it to him? And they're like, oh, just dump it in his head.
It also introduces the concept of the robots eating ham sandwiches, which I really liked. Like David offers him ham sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
If anything, he should have been like, what the hell is ham? Because C-3PO also doesn't know what a tree is. In this episode.
This fool is seeing trees all over the damn place.
Yeah, I don't understand what that is. Like, I guess we only see him like on Tatooine.
He ain't been to Endor yet, I suppose.
Yeah, his fucking brain's gonna explode when he gets to Endor. He's like, oh, I saw these on Sesame Street.
Whoa, yeah, maybe you're right, because he's on Tatooine. He's in Bespin. Oh no, they go to Yavin 4 though, and there's trees all over Yavin 4.
Oh, you're right. He's been to Yavin 4 at this point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So sorry, Sesame Street, you fucked up. This guy knows what trees is, unless it's before unless this is a prequel to the series and the movie, the first Star Wars movie.
I guess it could be. They don't mention anything specifically that takes place in the movies.
Yeah.
So this could take place at any time.
This
in
is
Star
right
Wars
after his
canon.
mind gets wiped, after the prequels, and then
That's why he doesn't know what a tree is.
yeah. And then Wedge Antilles is like, look, we have to go find Oscar the Grouch. See ya. And also at the end of this is a little weird because R2D2 says something and then 3PO's like, oh, mind your manners. And then they ask him what he said, and he said, thank you. But I just always imagine R2D2 is saying the most foul thing imaginable.
Well, because
He's
it's
like-
implied in the movies that he is saying some like truly heinous things that
Yeah.
C-3PO would not dare to translate because it is so insulting.
Yeah. So I think he was describing how pleasurable perhaps it was to have this brake fluid poured into him.
Or he's just like, yeah, give me some more of that shit.
Yeah.
C-3PO was like, calm down, dude. This is a children's show. But yeah, C-3PO is also amazed that Sesame Street only has one moon. So again, it's wacky. They're from space. Get it? But it's very clear that Star Wars does not exist in the world of Sesame Street.
No.
None of these characters have been able to see Star Wars, apparently.
No.
It's
They don't
just
know who
real.
these two are. It's real. They exist in the what's the galaxy called in Star Wars? The galaxy?
Yeah, I think they just call it the galaxy.
Okay. So this is a mirror Earth that exists almost exactly the same as our Earth, except in that galaxy.
Yeah, I guess it's the way you can explain away, like furry little monsters walking around that nobody has a problem with.
Oh
is-
yeah.
that happens
It's
in
not
Star
very
Wars all
much the
time.
same as our Earth, is it? It's got
No.
Muppets everywhere.
Yeah. If you saw like a 3-foot tall blue guy walking up to you on the street, you'd probably kick him.
I wouldn't kick him.
You wouldn't be
Especially-
terrified if he's
Especially
running up,
if he was-
Sammy baby!
No, I wouldn't kick him. I would say, "Oh my God, my dreams are coming true." Kick him. It would probably be like H.P. Lovecraft style. Like I've seen something that my brain cannot comprehend, and now I'm insane.
You'd be the big bird to your friends, trying to convince them that you just saw a Grover running down
Yeah.
the street, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, Sam.
Yeah.
You think you've been podcasting about Muppets for too long?" You're
But
starting
then
to
right
see
behind the
Muppets.
people saying that, Grover would be peeking around the corner like, "Hello."
We get a cute little Bert and Ernie sketch in the middle of this episode where Ernie shows clear signs of anxiety.
Yeah.
He is catastrophizing quite a bit and is worried that Bert has been abducted by monsters on the
Yes.
walk home from work. I don't know where he's supposed to be.
I don't either. But he's been there too long wherever he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's been gone. He's staying out too late. Ernie's very, very concerned. And then the concern for Bert's health starts to turn into concern that Bert is having a good time without him.
Yeah.
And like went to a party and is having a good time with friends and he didn't invite him. And Bert comes home and informs Ernie, "Don't worry, Ernie. I never have a good time."
That made me laugh so hard. I love that. They have an unhealthy relationship for sure.
Yeah, it's Ernie is very, very worried and clingy to Bert. And I think they need to communicate a little bit more about what's going
yeah.
on.
Maybe this was just a hiccup in their relationship, and
Hmm.
and Ernie was going through some stuff.
Oh, we apparently missed a song about what can you do with a burrow.
Yeah, it was probably 6 minutes long and so fucking boring, like that goddamn green bean song.
Yeah, we get a whole song about beans.
Yeah, and the milk thing. God, it was at the end of this episode. The milk thing goes
Yeah.
on forever.
That's the end of this episode.
And that milkman has such an intense look on his face, like, this is the most vital fluid on planet Earth. I
Yeah.
must deliver this milk.
No, the milk emergency sketch is wild.
Yeah.
But first, before the milk emergency, we get a street scene here where R2D2 finally gets to deliver his message to Oscar the Grouch. Oscar the Grouch, when he's first greeted by C-3PO, says, "Okay, shiny pants."
He is shocked at their appearance.
But not like as shocked as everyone else.
No. He just does a double take and then he quickly adjusts his worldview.
Well, and also he apparently is, familiar enough with the idea of aliens existing because
Yeah.
when R2D2 gives him the message from Lothar the Grouch, who is from the seventh moon of the planet Zircon. He doesn't really, he's not that alarmed that an alien Grouch is reaching out to him.
Send him a text message, like a text message that basically says "fuck you" from space.
Yeah. Just says, Oscar the Grouch, get lost. And it's worth noting that I think in season 12, there's an episode where a spaceship comes to Sesame Street that has Oathmar, another Grouch from the seventh moon of Zircon.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oscar was the original Muppets from space.
I guess so, but he doesn't seem to care as much as Gonzo does. Gonzo is very concerned and like looking for his place in the universe, and like Oscar's just like, yeah, whatever, cool, I'm an alien, whatever.
Yeah, they're spacefaring people. Is any of this ever referenced in any like Star Wars stuff? Do they ever mention the 12th moon of Zircon or whatever?
No, Zircon.
They
is
love
not a
to
Star
do that
Wars
shit,
thing.
you know?
No, I don't believe Zircon ever comes up.
If you ever wrote a Star Wars thing, would you add you should add a reference to it?
It would be pretty easy, I feel like, to slip it in there.
Or you write like the Galactic Encyclopedia or whatever, and one of the planets is like Sesame Street planet, you know?
Well, if I remember correctly, and this might not be true anymore, but there was one of those things put out where I think Coosbane was canonized
you mentioned
at one
that
point.
when we first saw Coosbane.
Yeah.
And I think you're right that it's not anymore. It's legends now, not canon.
Yeah. But they tried to slip in some Muppets into the Star Wars canon.
Well, Yoda's a Muppet, so he's already
not a
there.
Muppet, Sam. There is no world in which he is a Muppet.
Except this one.
He's only a Muppet if any character Frank Oz has ever played in any movie is also a Muppet.
Yeah, when he's the lawyer in Knives Out, he's a Muppet. When he's the man on Blues Brothers, he's a Muppet.
As long as we're applying that logic to it, I'll accept that Yoda is a Muppet. As long as Frank Oz is always a Muppet.
Thank you. I get what I want, so I'm happy.
A Muppet directed What About Bob?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about this Lena Horne little musical number, huh?
It starts off very strange.
Yeah.
We have Being Green, sung mostly by Lena Horne, but also a little by Kermit. But it starts off with Kermit seemingly in a black void by himself.
Yeah,
and
looking so sad.
And then you just hear a woman's voice like start singing the words to Being Green as if they're happening inside of Kermit's head.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing as to like, okay, why is Kermit so sad? Who's singing this song to him or in his brain?
You don't see her for a long time.
And then they pull back the camera and it's revealed to be Lena Horne, who we have talked about previously on The Muppet Show, is sitting there with Kermit singing Being Green to him, seemingly to like cheer him up from something that made him sad.
I guess. He seems fucked up. He's wrecked.
But he does eventually join in to the musical number and finish off the song with her. Then we get another street scene of C-3PO and R2-D2 talking with Big Bird about feelings and emotions. And I like Big Bird's role in these two episodes where he is sort of he's the voicing of the audience where he's like, hey, robots are just machines and machines don't have emotions, but you seem to have emotions. How?
He's giving us some deep Star Wars lore while he's at it, too.
Well, my other favorite thing here, we mentioned earlier that we wish they would have met like Bert and Ernie. He mentions Sam the robot as like one of the machines he knows. And I'm like, man, we could have had an R2-D2 Sam the robot collab. We do get to see C-3PO asking R2-D2 to show some emotions, be like, hey, be sad. Hey, be happy. And then he doesn't want to show that he's angry. So C-3PO shows that he can be angry by screaming at R2-D2.
Do robots have emotions in Star Wars? Is this canon?
I mean, I would feel like they
must.
do. Like, just even C-3PO alone, I feel like goes through many waves of emotions.
R2's always like, oh.
Those two specifically have quite a range of emotion. I think you do see droids in Star Wars that feel just programmed and they just
IG-88, for instance.
Yeah, because he's got like a chip in his head essentially telling him what to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's, it depends on how much freedom the owner of that droid wants to give it.
Right.
If they have an inhibitor chip or something.
The bolt. What's the bolt called?
Restraining bolt.
Yes. Did you ever see this when you were a kid, or is this the first time you've ever seen this?
This is the first time I've ever seen these. I think I've seen pictures of C-3PO and R2-D2 visiting Sesame Street, but never really knew the context of those visits.
Huh.
We have a story time with Bob in this episode, which is the King and the Fireman thing that you mentioned earlier, where a king gets saved by a fireman, and then he's like, you know what? Firemen are so great. Everyone should be a fireman. And decrees that everyone must be a fireman. And so when he can't get food or health care or anything else, turns out he's not so happy with everyone being a fireman.
I love when he's like, when the one who used to be a postman can't deliver his mail anymore, and he's like, well, I can't deliver you a letter, but do you want this hose?
Yeah, and so, you know, maybe there's a lesson to learn here that we shouldn't overfund certain parts of our social services because it takes away
You're right.
from the other ones that are just as important.
Wow, I didn't read that into it, Matt, but you are exactly right. We need to send this to the White House immediately. I also love when the cook goes, I can't cook you dinner, but here's a fireman's helmet. Would you like to eat that?
Yeah. But I do really like that the French chef puppet is a very good design, and I don't know how often he was used on Sesame Street. But
isn't it just Guy Smiley with different eyes or something?
It kind of looks like Guy Smiley with different eyes. It's definitely that same sort of like vertical yellow anything Muppet pattern.
Yeah.
But
he kind of comes back in the next episode a little bit.
A little bit.
Character.
Yeah.
I love these storytime things because it just seems like they're having so much fun. Like they're truly just fucking around. And I love that Bob is like telling the story at the same time as it's happening. It feels so organic, and there's so much like good back and forth between the storyteller and the characters on the screen. I just think these are really effective.
Oh, and they take that to the next level in the next episode as well.
Oh god, the next one's so good.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think this one is from season 3 originally, and the other one's from season 8. So I think they had some time to develop that, which is also, again, just wild. The fact that, like, you know, we've had 5 seasons of The Muppet Show. We've talked about their growth and things they change and tweak and little formula things they do. And that's only like 24 episodes in a season that they've had. The time between those 2 sketches is also like 5 years, but they're doing like 100 episodes a year.
Yeah.
So they've done like 500 episodes between those 2 storytime sketches we watched.
I bet that was so fun and hard. And I bet it feels kind of like how like working on SciShow feels, where you're just like, having good ideas, but at the same time, you can't stop. And it's like...
It's all... Yeah, my producer brain kicks in when looking at the list of these episodes of just figuring out, like, what you're going to repeat, how often you're going to repeat them, how do you make an episode out of 12 different episodes, and what we need to film to fill out the gaps in that episode. And it seems like a producer's nightmare.
Yeah, but I bet it's fun, too.
Oh, for sure. Like, for some of these, you can definitely just be like, yeah, that random J animation we have from season 2, toss that in there.
Yeah. And I also like sometimes on the street scenes, like when they blow their lines or something, and the producers and like the director or whatever is just like, it's fine. We got like 25 more of these to do today.
Oh, yeah. They would film multiples of these in one day. So I'm sure they only cared so much about a flubbed line.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working with little kids who are unpredictable. And so you're just going to be like, I think that's the best we're going to get.
That's fine.
Yeah, that little girl had her hand in her mouth the entire time, but I guess that's what it's going to be on the show.
She did say all of her lines through her fingers that were shoved in her gob, but...
We get another interesting Ernie and Bert segment in this episode. This one has some interesting puppetry where Ernie is carrying a glass of water back and forth throughout the apartment. And somehow, like, very quickly, he gets water from one side, goes through one door, and it's empty, and he comes back. And so somebody is, like, grabbing this glass, dumping it very quickly, refilling it, handing it back to Jim. Like, this is all done extremely quickly.
I didn't think about that.
Because he's carrying actual water back and forth across the set. But, you know, it's done in a way that I think it's very easy to not notice.
Does Bert drink it at one point?
Yeah. He takes a big old, like, chug of it. And I didn't pay close enough attention to see if they were, like, dumping it down his mouth or if they just had an empty glass and they did a clever edit.
Oh, yeah.
Bert keeps trying to guess what Ernie is doing with the water. Like, maybe he's watering a plant, or maybe there's a puppy outside who needs water. Or, oh, you're bringing that to Maria, or whatever. And it turns out, nope, the apartment was flooding. And Ernie was just trying to very slowly save the apartment from flooding.
Yeah. Again, they need to work on their communication. Because they both drown at the end.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like Ernie maybe knows how to swim. But Bert maybe is in trouble.
Yeah.
We get a short little film segment of an itchy wombat just scratching itself real cute
Yeah, from episode 8, it says at the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, you got an itchy wombat. You got to reuse that thing.
Yeah, this itchy wombat footage is gold, baby.
Then Big Bird wants to play a game with C-3PO and R2-D2. It's Blind Man's Bluff, which I don't remember ever playing as a child.
No.
But it seems like you just put a blindfold on, and then you try to find people around you by feeling.
It seems very dangerous.
It does seem like you might just like walk off the curb and into like in front of a car or something.
Yeah. I don't believe that R2-D2 and C-3PO would have any fun playing with Big Bird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess if they view him as like an alien species, they're just like,
I
whoa,
suppose.
he looks kind of like our friend Chewbacca, but yellow.
Yeah. I guess if you're a protocol droid, maybe you do want to like download as much information about everybody you meet as you possibly can. But the whole time R2-D2 is like, we got to get out of here, man. Like, why are you humoring this giant
Yeah,
baby?
I already did my important mission. I delivered the Grouch message. We have no business here. We have to go defeat the evil empire before they take over Sesame Street.
Oh, man. That would have been a good episode. Darth Vader on Sesame Street.
Just stormtroopers walking in
Yeah.
down the block. Everyone's very concerned and hiding out. But the main takeaways from this segment are that Big Bird thinks the mailbox is R2-D2 and that the lamppost is C-3PO.
Yeah.
The first one, slightly more believable than the second. Then we get Kermit again hanging out in his apartment, reading a possibly salacious novel.
Oh, what was it?
He's reading out loud to himself, and it starts off, Sally Salamander had never met a frog this handsome before. But he is interrupted by a pushy salesman Grover, who is here to sell him some toothbrushes.
And he really, really doesn't want them.
Well, he doesn't have teeth, Sam.
Frogs don't have teeth.
Frogs don't have teeth until
Grover has a great solution, which is to somehow make Kermit have teeth.
he shoves him down to the floor. And when Kermit returns to the scene, he has a full mouth of teeth.
And then he uses them to bite the hell out of Grover. I love this so much.
This felt a lot like something that would not be on Sesame Street today.
Yeah.
Because,
Scary.
Well, a lot of kids also have problems with biting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
showing Kermit biting Grover as revenge is probably not what you want to show
great.
kids.
Sure. Maybe this is why kids have problems with biting.
They're like, man, I saw that toothy frog bite the hell out of his friend.
That looked fun as hell.
Yeah. But this Kermit with teeth image is one that goes around the internet from time to time.
Yeah.
Of like, look at this disturbing shit.
You know, like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's like pointing at the TV.
Yes.
I did that when Kermit popped up. I was like, hey, there it is.
That's what, like, I think I was like sort of anticipating that was going to happen as they like were talking about this. I was like, is this going to be when we see Kermit, with teeth? Is this going to happen? Am I actually getting to experience this moment? And yeah, and talking about like, repeating stuff and the way things are produced. This apparently originally aired just like 40 episodes earlier in the same season. So they just took this from earlier in season 11 and plopped it here.
Well, when you got something that good,
But Sam, hold on. Wait, it's a milk emergency.
Oh, God.
We have a milk emergency on Sesame Street. In a previously filmed segment here, we're showing how milking works. They're milking a cow, and at first it just seems like, we milk a cow, we hook it up to this machine, we feed some cats the milk. It's a pretty simple farm segment. But then, cut to a baby in a crib, crying with an empty bottle, and they must solve this problem. So a man rushes out of a house, gets in his milk truck, races to the dairy farm, fills up his milk truck, rushes home, and gets some milk for his baby.
Not how it works. Sorry.
No, I think there's some like pasteurization or something that should probably happen in the meantime.
That's way too much milk as well for the baby.
Yeah, I don't think they recommend this style of feeding anymore.
No.
And I also don't think cats are supposed to have just raw milk either.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they're supposed to have any milk. We've learned a lot since the 70s.
We get to see Mr. Roosevelt Franklin.
Yeah, with a bunch of other Muppets.
Yeah, and this is a segment from season 4 of Sesame Street that just kind of, it's a weird song because it doesn't really teach anything. It's not really about anything. They're just kind of clapping their hands and singing to a rhythm and enjoying each other's company, which I guess is obviously fine. But
we don't got time for that, Sesame Street. We got to be learning stuff.
That's like there's a quote. I don't remember exactly what it is right now, but from John Stone, who was the director of a lot of these early Sesame Streets, where somebody yelled out something like, "What are we teaching right now?" And he's like, "Fun."
That's nice.
Yeah.
And then they fuck back off to space.
And then C-3PO and R2-D2 do fuck off back to space because they have to deliver another secret message because that's the only thing we can really put on R2-D2 at this point. We've only seen him in one movie, and so they're
He
like,
doesn't have a little jet pack yet or anything.
yeah,
like
we're like,
that.
what do we know about these guys? They have secret messages for people.
Yeah.
And then, presumably filmed around the same time,
Yeah.
R2-D2 and C-3PO return to Sesame Street, this time not by Blippy Light UFO, but by a New York City bus.
It's on the bus. I liked it so much. I was so excited.
It's very good, and obviously they wanted to use this episode to teach kids about buses and
This
bus
is the
stops.
big bus episode of Sesame Street.
Get ready, everyone. This is the bus one. But, yeah, R2-D2 and C-3PO are coming to visit Big Bird. I love every single time Big Bird says R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Yeah. It does give you a little thrill, doesn't it?
Well, especially at the beginning of this episode, he says, my friends R2-D2 and C-3PO are coming to visit me today, and they're coming by bus. And just any time they like cut back to a street scene and he's like, hey, C-3PO, and you're like, oh, they're friends.
Yeah, and they've all accepted these two robots, and they just live in New York now with everybody.
Well, and, you know, Big Bird has this childlike wonder with them, and I think C-3PO also seems similarly fascinated by Big Bird.
Yeah.
And wants to help him out. So
Yeah.
I like their little friendship.
Yeah, me too. And R2 hates all of it.
Yeah, he's just along for the ride. But he does almost find love this episode, Sam.
He does. He almost has sex with a fire hydrant. Much like a
Spoiler
minion.
alert.
Minions are also in love with fire hydrants, you know?
I think if you look enough like a fire hydrant, at some point you fall in love with a fire hydrant.
That's true.
But Big Bird is so excited to see his friends, he actually doesn't let them get off the bus. He gets on the bus himself.
This
to
annoyed
greet
me
them.
so much, because if this is happening on a real bus, it would just be like, what the fuck, guy? Get off the bus. We're all trying to get somewhere.
Well, and I think it's a very bad bus driver because he is within earshot of this
Yeah.
conversation that they are happening. He sees that this bird is greeting his friends and talking about getting off the bus. And the driver's like, it's been long enough. I'm just going to go.
Yeah. Nobody in the world talks louder than Big Bird. There is no way that he didn't hear this.
He didn't pay a fare either. So like that bus driver should have stopped and stayed there until either Big Bird paid or they got off the bus.
Just screaming at Big Bird, like spittle flying into Big Bird's face.
You owe me 50 cents. I don't have pockets, sir. I don't have any money. My space friends will pay for me.
Yeah, they got credits.
Then we get a short cartoon about bus stops before it's time for Super Grover.
Yeah, I used to hate Super Grover, but now I love Super Grover.
I think Grover is maybe the most fun Frank Oz gets to have
Uh-huh.
as like a main character. I think
Yeah.
other characters he plays have to be a little bit restrained, whether it's Fozzie or Piggy or somebody. But when he's performing Grover, I feel like he gets to be the most unhinged main character.
Uh-huh.
Cookie Monster also gets to be pretty unhinged. But
Yeah,
Grover...
but Cookie Monster exists in such a strict set of guidelines. He likes cookies. Grover is an everyman. You can do anything you want to with Grover.
He can have any job. He can be any age. Grover is just a blob that you can morph into whatever you want.
Yeah.
We get another little Muppets segment called High, Middle, Low in this episode, which is surprisingly not done by, like Jim, Frank, Jerry, Richard. It is performed by Jerry Nelson, Joe Raposo, and Jeff Moss.
What?
Yeah, and Jeff Moss is one of the writers and composers and lyricists for Sesame Street, along with Joe Raposo. And so, yeah, they apparently wrote this song, and then maybe Jim and Frank weren't around to perform it, and so they had Jerry, Joe, and Jeff all perform it. But I knew there was something when they started singing. I actually thought it was Bob at first singing one of the roles, because I was like, this just sounds a little bit off and a little different. I'm not sure who that is, and so I was wondering if they had them dub over lines that somebody else had puppeteered. And presumably Joe Raposo and Jeff Moss didn't do their own puppeteering because they were not trained puppeteers, and these weren't noticeably bad puppets in this segment. So presumably they just dubbed it over, or this was lip synced. But yeah, it was interesting that they had some other performers stepping in this episode. Then we get the segment that we referred to earlier with the little girl talking and singing through her hands and her mouth the entire time, because Bob is getting ready to sing the alphabet song with some kids, but R2-D2 and C-3PO would like to join in. And by that, R2-D2 really just wants to beep along kind of quietly in the background while these kids scream, sing the alphabet song.
Good thing Arubesh and the alphabet are the same, huh?
Well, R2-D2 knows lots of languages.
I guess that's true.
And also, he could just beep, and no one but C-3PO knows if he's
Everyone
lying.
just takes his word for it, yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised the kids weren't more excited to see those two.
They seem really weirdly restrained.
They're just
that
like,
hey, the stars of Star Wars just walked into the scene.
yeah.
And whether or not you're playing it cool because these are just like, space robots, or these are stars of a movie you've seen, one of those two scenarios is true, and you should be more excited.
Are they too young to have seen Star Wars?
I feel like everyone saw Star Wars.
Because they kept releasing it, right? Like, it was in theaters a lot. And there were toys. Like, they saw these toys of these two guys.
Right. I feel like these two would be familiar to these children.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
Maybe this is like the 8th take, and these kids were just tired. Then we get a delightful animation, Sam.
I love this, but go ahead and finish, and then I'll tell you my new theory.
We get a song called Caterpillars Never Wear Brown Boots. That's just one caterpillar like making fun of another caterpillar for wearing boots. And it's just extremely good.
It's a good song, and the animation is beautiful. And these caterpillars are Goombas from Mario. So once again, Shigeru Miyamoto has stolen content from the Muppets.
We're slowly building up a lawsuit here, Sam, against Miyamoto.
He could be suing us for libel. What's the other one? What's the one?
He could be suing you for libel.
Yeah, right.
Or slander, whichever one.
For slander, yeah. But they have Goomba boots. They have Goomba heads. These are Goombas.
They have very long caterpillar bodies, Sam.
That doesn't matter. Just look at the head. That's a Goomba.
It's a very Goomba-y head.
And the feet are Goomba. Shigeru Miyamoto was like, caterpillars don't wear brown boots, but you know what does? This new character I made up called the Goomba.
Goombas only wear boots.
Yeah.
I do like your theory. I don't know that we'll ever have the answers you're looking for, Sam, but
Yeah. When I die and go to heaven, God will say, you were right about all of that shit, by the way.
Just have a big old cork board with like side-by-side comparisons. He'd be like, I think there's something to your theory here.
Yeah, and then Shigeru Miyamoto will be standing next to him like, ugh, sorry.
What you gonna do now? We're all dead.
Yeah.
We have a repeat sketch that we watched with one of our previous Sesame episodes.
Yeah, I hate these assholes.
Where the Twiddlebugs are trying to hang up a stamp in their living room.
So stupid.
And Sam hates the Twiddlebugs, but I love the Twiddlebugs.
I don't have time for their nonsense.
I think I mostly just like Jim Henson's dad voice that he has, which is basically just chipmunk gosh posh.
Uh-huh.
And just the way he handles those characters when he plays like the sort of southern dad is always a good character to me. Even if, Twiddlebugs aren't necessarily my favorite part of Sesame Street.
I love how much Jim gets to like stretch his legs in Sesame Street, which he just never gets to do for whatever reason in Muppet Show.
Kermit's too popular.
Yeah.
Did you skip through the steam shovel film?
I skipped the steam shovel. That was long as hell. That thing was like 7 minutes long.
And for like 2 minutes, it's just footage of a steam shovel picking things up in a construction site.
Yeah.
And then a woman's voice comes out of nowhere and just says, "This is a steam shovel."
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. That's because like the first minute is nothing but the steam shovel just picking things up. And you're like waiting for something to happen. And nothing really happens. But then a woman's voice just comes in and says, "This is a steam shovel." But thankfully, it is not too long before we get another story time segment. This time, Grover, who is playing the fairy godmother, or fairy god monster, is reading the story of the Cursed Prince. The Cursed Prince in this is played by David, and Maria is playing the young princess. It is worth noting.
A plumber, just like Mario.
It is worth noting. I think we brought this up previously, but technically Maria and David are still dating at this point.
Right.
We have seen some hints in previous episodes where it seemed like Luis and Maria were starting to date already.
Luis puts his hand on her back all the time.
Yeah, but that is apparently, it's not Sesame Street canon yet for a few more years that happens. But for now, clearly, David and Maria, still a couple. They have them smooching in this.
And this is from
sketch.
a couple years back.
That is true, yeah.
And they're full lip kissing.
They are full lip kissing, as they say. But this is a twist on the Frog Prince, which you can kind of see coming. Where the handsome prince, played by David, says he has been cursed by a witch. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Tam and Ella Grindelwald.
No, so close, though. You can just feel her off screen.
She's like, is this my cue? But as soon as Maria kisses David, he transforms into Kermit.
Of course.
Which apparently was not the plan.
In the story.
In the story.
Right.
Yes, not like behind the scenes, like Kermit accidentally showed up in this
Yeah,
sketch.
because everyone's so mad at Kermit. And they're like, get out of here, Kermit. You're ruining everything.
And it quickly falls apart in a very chaotic Muppet Show kind of way.
Yeah.
And everyone starts yelling at each other. David comes in from out of the side of the scene like, hey, can I go? Can I change clothes? I'm tired of being here. And Grover is very upset that his sketch went so poorly.
This is maybe also ranks among my favorite things we've ever seen.
It is fantastic. Everyone in it is doing a great job. And I think it just, anytime a sketch completely falls apart into chaos is top-tier Muppet work.
And this is the way, I wish sometimes the Muppet Show treated guest stars a little bit more like Muppet Show treats its human hosts, where they actually get to, be goofy or, do little sketches. I miss sketches.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's why I like when they do that episodes like the Robin Hood or the Liza Minnelli one, where they let the host play a character for most of the episode. Then we get a really sweet street scene where Big Bird, Linda, R2-D2, and C-3PO are all there, which is just a wild sentence. And they're all trying to communicate with each other when Big Bird points out that Linda is deaf. And so she cannot only not hear R2-D2 and C-3PO, but they also don't have lips to read. And so she can look at Big Bird and understand what he is saying, but R2-D2 and C-3PO cannot communicate with Linda until Linda realizes that if she puts her hand on R2-D2, she can feel the vibrations of his beeps.
And somehow she understands that.
I'm not going to question it, Sam, because I think it's adorable and it's a very sweet moment.
It is adorable.
And Big Bird and C-3PO eventually walk off because R2-D2 and Linda are having such a good conversation.
Such a nice conversation.
Yeah.
R2 should have stayed on the show. He should have got married to Linda.
So a couple scenes later is when it cuts to C-3PO and R2-D2, and R2-D2 is in love. And I thought for sure
it would be freaking Linda.
Yeah, I thought he had fallen in love with Linda after their long conversation.
Me too. That would have been cute, but also sad, because I guess Linda would have had to say, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I mean, who knows? It's Sesame Street. They can be best friends with an 8-foot-tall bird. They can maybe marry a robot.
Yeah. But they couldn't keep bringing R2 back. She'd just have to be like, my husband R2-D2. He's in the house still.
They just keep referencing him, but you never see him.
Yeah.
We then have, guess what? Surprise, Ernie is frustrating Bert. He's going through a series of systems he has in place to remind him to do something. And, it comes down to communication again, because if Bert just let Ernie talk without questioning everything he was saying, the conversation would have been over in half the time. But this one, you can tell just by looking at the puppets and the clothes they're wearing, is a very early.
It's like a first season thing.
It's a first season. It's the 95th episode of the first season of Ernie and Bert. So they look a little rough around the edges.
Yeah. Ernie's got the wrong sweater on.
But the frustration, the characterization, still strong, still there. There's a moment that I like a lot when Bert says, "Why is that?" I asked foolishly.
Yeah. What year was in episode 95? 1970. Yeah. So still so long out from even the Muppet Show at that point.
Mm. Then we have Salvador Dada, the artist, is here. And Biff, the construction worker, is hanging his paintings for him. It's a pretty straightforward one. It's pretty much just, hang
Ain't
the paintings.
That just the way artists are,
There's also a moment in that sketch which I think is just not necessarily an accident, but I think it's just the way they have to stage it is they've got two cameras going, and so Salvador Dada has to move out of frame at some points to go line up for the next camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a point at which Jerry Nelson lost track of where Jim
yeah.
had gone, because he says a line and then he turns around and he's like, "Where'd you go?"
Where'd you go?
And he like looks around a little bit, and then he like cut to the other camera and show that Salvador Dada is like moved away. But it felt real to me in a way that Jerry Nelson did not know, because he looked at his monitor and he only saw his puppet in the frame and was like,
Yeah.
I don't know where Jim went.
It felt like a Seinfeld skit to me for some reason. There's just like, it just feels like it takes place in the universe of Seinfeld to me for some reason. Like they would meet Salvador Dada. He'd be dating Elaine and they would insult him somehow, you know?
I could see that. Yeah. Okay. Salvador Dada and Elaine.
Yeah.
We got another human Muppet romance here.
Yeah, at least he's a human Muppet.
Speaking of love, R2-D2 reveals to C-3PO that he is in love. And C-3PO says, "You're happy and in love, and that's wonderful. I just want to meet her." So
They have a better relationship than Bert and Ernie.
Oh, much better. They've been through a lot of shit, though.
Yeah, they're war buddies.
Yeah. But R2-D2 introduces C-3PO to his love, which is the Sesame Street fire hydrant.
Yes. The fire hydrant does look like it has big boobs, so
Wow.
who can blame him?
I mean, those are just where you hook up the hoses, Sam.
Okay, if you say so.
I think if you want to see boobs, you're seeing boobs, but I don't see boobs.
R2 is a boob man, confirmed.
But C-3PO does inform him that it is just a fire hydrant. That's just where water comes out for the firemen. Dude, that's not, you're not going to be...
Those aren't big honkers.
Yeah, you're not going to have a good
Sorry.
relationship with this fire hydrant. So he sadly beeps and rolls away. And C-3PO says, "It's better to have loved a fire hydrant than to have never loved it all."
It's true.
It's time for Waiter Grover.
For a blessed Waiter Grover sketch. The world is too good for... the world is not good enough for Waiter Grover sketches.
This episode talks a few times not only about buses, but also about the difference between big and small. And this one, we get a very clear distinction between big and small with the size of the burgers that Mr. Johnson gets from Waiter Grover. One is a little baby slider burger, and the other one is a 3-foot wide burger that Grover Kool-Aid mans through the door with.
Grover's begging him not to order that big damn burger. But at one point, Waiter Grover suggests Mr. Johnson order several small hamburgers, thus inventing the concept of the slider.
You see, you say that, but White Castle had been around for like 50 years.
Did they call them sliders?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let's look at Wikipedia, huh?
Well, so good luck with this, because I tried. You texted me about the slider concept yesterday, and the history of sliders is fraught with vague stories.
Yeah, it's believed to have been described, used to describe the onion steamed small burgers at White Castle restaurant. What they're not telling you is that Grover invented the concept of the slider.
I will say sliders were not as popular of like a restaurant item at this time. Like they were popular at White Castle, but everyone wasn't getting their hands on the idea of a slider.
We get a brief appearance from Harvey Kneeslapper. An incredibly weak practical joke, if I have to say so.
Yeah, he's hanging out with the Fat Blue Muppet. I know that sounds insulting to call him that, but that's what they called him.
That is his name.
That is like they refer to him as either Mr. Johnson or Fat Blue. We're not just saying he's the Fat Blue Muppet, but his joke is just, "Hey, can I take a picture of you?" And he slaps the letter U onto his bald head and takes a picture of his bald head, which is very mean.
It isn't nice, and it's not really doesn't make much sense.
No, not at all. Then we find out that R2-D2 is a weather predicting machine because he wants to go to the park. They all want to go to the park, C-3PO, Big Bird, and R2-D2, but he says it's about to start raining, and lo and behold, boom, rain.
I feel like for R2 to be a weather predicting machine at this point in the 70s, that he's had to like hack into NORAD or something, you know?
I feel like he's always hacked into everything, though. I feel like
Yes,
he is
that's
just
true.
in the know. He is, screwed his little probe thing into some hole in the wall of Sesame Street and downloaded the weather information from the almanac.
Yeah. I never thought about him having Wi-Fi, but he must have some form of Wi-Fi.
But C-3PO seems to be getting dumber the more he hangs out with Big Bird.
With Big Bird is really rubbing off on him, isn't he?
Yeah, because then they're walking around with an umbrella later on at the end of the episode, and C-3PO is talking about what they can't do because it's too rainy out, when clearly it has stopped raining minutes ago.
Yeah.
And R2-D2 has to point out, hey,
you two dumbasses.
it stopped raining. You're fine. Put down your umbrella. And then they decide to go to the park.
I suppose 3PO is known to miss the forest for the trees, so maybe not too out of line, but
like, man,
it
you gotta know when it's raining.
That seems important, yeah.
And then, the very last thing, I guess, was season 11 of Sesame Street before we get to talking a lot about Elmo here. Do you have any thoughts on that Disco Frog clip I sent you?
It's just so weird. He's dancing with his own ghost. Why is he doing that?
I don't really know. And we don't get that same thing happening in the Muppet Show version. We're going to see him in a much more John Travolta-esque suit in the Muppet Show version. So I'm not really sure why Disco Frog is dead. Maybe Disco is dead. Maybe that's what they were saying.
Oh, that could be a commentary. I think it's interesting also that the lady frogs in that skit have collars on. Like the people who make Sesame Street have a different perception of what that collar is than the people who make Muppet Show.
Like they're just saying that's a frog. Like
a
frogs
frog
gotta
has
have
a
collars.
collar. Yeah, but I didn't really like it that much. But I haven't liked any of the like disco crossover of Sesame Street really, or like any Muppet disco thing really. And it is the 80s now, guys. You can't do disco anymore, unfortunately.
But now it's time to get on to our Muppet of the Week.
It's a big one, folks.
The too big of one, actually.
The one will dominate most of our lives, I think, from now on.
Not quite from now on. We've got a few years of like a calm pre-Elmo tidal wave happening here.
Yeah.
But that also plays into the way I'm going to talk about Elmo today. I'm going to give you a quick little rundown of Elmo.
Okay.
Because we are going to be talking about Elmo so much in the future.
We will organically learn everything about Elmo.
Yeah, and there's, much like every other Sesame Street Muppet, there is a lot of backstory and lore and family members out there. But because he's Elmo, he has like 10 times as many as everyone else. So we could do an entire episode about just Elmo and his family. So
he has more family members than many human beings on planet Earth do.
Yeah. I could, at this point, probably name more Elmo family members than my own family. But to sort of prep us for Elmo, because he did not appear in either of the episodes we watched. We watched some early Elmo clips, and I've got some more info about the early days of Elmo. But yeah, we watched a clip of his very first appearance in a sketch called We Are All Monsters, where it's just a couple of monsters singing some songs about being monsters.
Kind of a nice little song.
Yeah, and this was his first appearance, which is in season 11. It aired just a few episodes after the second R2-D2-C3PO one on March 28th, 1980. And in that one, he is performed by Jerry Nelson. Very clearly. He sounds like Jerry Nelson in that one.
Yeah.
Putting on a gruff little monster voice. It is worth noting that in later years, after 1990, they would re-air that segment, but they had Kevin Clash go in and redub the lines so that kids wouldn't be confused as to why Elmo sounded like that.
Oh, I tried really hard to like put myself in a position where I didn't know what Elmo sounded like and watch that and be like, this is fine, but it wasn't fine.
Well, and it gets even more confusing because the next thing we watched was a clip of a song called Handful of Crumbs, which is a country song sung by Cookie Monster, but his backing band is led by Elmo, and this is a season 13 clip from 1982, where Elmo is again performed by Jerry Nelson with a very deep, high Southern drawl voice.
Yeah.
Like,
would have been fun if that is what he ended up with.
oh god,
He does end up a little Southern. Like his family members are Southern.
his
Some of
dad's
them,
definitely
right?
Southern. Yeah,
Yeah.
Louie. And then the final clip that I shared with Sam for this week is a clip from season 15 from 1984 of Elmo and Big Bird hanging out. This is when Elmo's first real performer, Brian Meal, took over. And this is the weird voice Sam was doing earlier, where he's very raspy and very confused about anything that's happening around him.
Yeah, it's Muttley-esque, and he repeats everything over and over again.
Yeah, but he does have a very cute moment where he comes back wearing Big Bird's galoshes as an outfit and a scarf around his face.
Yeah.
He's very cute, but I don't think this Elmo was bound for stardom at this point.
No, he's close, though. It really does read like the Elmo we know with a cold.
But yes, if, you're not aware somehow of who Elmo is, Elmo is the 3.5-year-old red furry monster who only talks in third person on Sesame Street. And he does not really become the Elmo as we know and love him until 1986. So at this point, we're about 6 years from Elmo looking and sounding like Elmo. And again, we're going to be talking about Elmo so much in the future because, peak Tickle Me Elmo time is not until 1996.
Yeah.
So we've got a ways to go before we are at peak Elmo time. But Elmo has not only been a staple of Sesame Street for pretty much 40 years at this point, but he's also starred in a bunch of his own movies. He's been on every talk show known to man, and he even ended up getting his own regular Elmo's World segments on Sesame Street, which ran from 1998 to 2009. And they even, have gone beyond that and had spin-offs of Elmo's World that he still does today. And he's just, Big Bird was moved into Elmo's shadow pretty quickly once Elmo started to take off.
Sad. I associate Elmo with the Rosie O'Donnell show, speaking of talk shows, more than like anything.
Yeah, I think that they definitely do a lot together in the mid-90s, both on her show and in like Christmas specials and a lot of other things. So I think it makes sense that those two are tied together in your brain. Something I wanted to mention here is that in the Elmo's World segments, there are moments where they go into the imagination of Dorothy, Elmo's pet goldfish, into Tickle Me Land, where in Tickle Me Land, we get to see some Elmo variants.
I don't want to see an Elmo variant.
I think you do, Sam. Click that link I just sent you.
Okay. Tickle Me Land. Crass. Oh, no. Matt, these are nasty.
Just go to Muppet Wiki, anyone listening, and look up the Elmo variants page if you are not familiar with Tickle Me Land and Dorothy's imagination of these hideous Elmo characters. They are fascinating from a puppet building point of view of like tasking the Jim Henson Creature Shop with, hey, what if Elmo was a squirrel?
The
Make
bee
that,
one
please.
is so disgusting. Oh, gross.
I don't think the bee is the worst one by far.
I think the bee gives me chills. I can't look at him.
I think the horse is pretty bad. I think the hamster, the spider, the shark.
Ew, the spider at least has a red body. The bee has a bee body.
Yeah. There's some very disturbing Elmo monsters in there that I felt like, I just thought it was worth mentioning that there's some weird, creepy Elmos out there if you haven't seen them.
Ew, Frog Elmo is just the worst.
But yeah, as I mentioned, Elmo's debut was in episode 1405 in March 1980 in the We Are All Monsters sketch. And then from there, there's a lot of random Elmo appearances at this point because he is being used just as like an anything Muppet, just kind of tossed into a sketch as a monster, performed by different people at different times with different voices for a while. And then, weirdly, also in season 11, in episode 1439, on May 15th, 1980, is when he is called Elmo for the first time. But yet, so let's get into performers. His first performer is Jerry Nelson, who will perform Elmo from 1980 through 1982 on and off with different voices at different times. Then we've got Catherine Mullen, who will perform Elmo a couple of times in 1981. Then Brian Meal, who is sort of the real first Elmo performer, is the one who steps in once Elmo has a name, will take over. But again, at the same time, there are still some Jerry Nelson and Kathy Mullen performances in there as well. So Elmo is not well defined at this point. But you may remember that we've mentioned Brian Meal before on this podcast because not only was he formerly a member of Moominshans, though he was not in the Muppet Show episode we watched, we actually talked about him because in our last Sesame Street episode, Barkley the Dog was our Muppet of the Week, and Brian Meal was one of the performers of Barkley the Dog right around this time.
Moominshans, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was, we talked about previously how they get a lot of mimes and circus clowns and stuff to be Barkley the Dog.
Right.
And he was one of the mimes they got. But he also would go on to perform dozens and dozens of other Muppet and Sesame Street characters, including Lothar the Grouch that we see in this batch of episodes.
Oh, okay.
After Brian Meal's time as Elmo came to an end, which was in 1984, Richard Hunt took over for just a year as Elmo. Famously, there's stories that, depending on where you read it, the way Richard Hunt became frustrated with Elmo varies. Okay. There's quotes that said he threw the puppet to Kevin Clash and said, "Here, you do something with this." And then there's also stories where Richard Hunt throws the puppet to Kevin Clash and says, "Do something with this fucking thing." So, in some world, whatever happened, Richard Hunt did not feel like he was able to nail the character of Elmo and gave it to the man named Kevin Clash, who would go on to make Elmo what he is today, who brought Elmo to fame and fortune. He was the main performer for Elmo from 1985 to 2013. He's also the performer behind Baby Sinclair on Dinosaurs and the breakout star of Muppets Tonight, Clifford. Famously, he resigned from Sesame Street in November 2012 And for the description of why, I am just going to read straight from Muppet Wiki here because I do not want to editorialize or get anything incorrect. But they explain that he resigned in response to allegations that he had sexual relationships with 3 minors. Clash denied the claims, stating that any relationships that occurred were between consenting adults. Clash was subsequently charged in court and has since been cleared, citing a technicality related to a statute of limitations. Something about, I am jumping in a little bit here to editorialize just for context. I think it was like a 6-year statute of limitations from when the things happened that they needed to be reported, and it had been longer than 6 years. And there was also an out-of-court settlement, which one of the accusers alleges was made under pressure. So, obviously, there's a lot to unpack there, and we are certainly not journalists or lawyers, so it's a very hard thing to dive into and read because many of the things I was trying to read were bringing opinion pieces into it, and I couldn't find just the facts of the case in a lot of ways, and so I do not feel comfortable adding anything to what was said by Muppet Wiki.
Right.
But I did want to mention that Kevin Clash is now back working with the Jim Henson Company after a few years where he was not. Most recently, he's worked on the Dark Crystal Netflix show and on Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock.
But not for Disney stuff.
Not for Disney or Sesame Street.
Okay.
But as Sesame Workshop said in 2012, Elmo is bigger than any one person and will continue to be an integral part of Sesame Street to engage, educate, and inspire children around the world as it has for 40 years. And so Ryan Dillon stepped in to take over the role of Elmo. And he actually started puppeteering for Sesame Street back in 2005 when he was only 17.
Wow.
Yeah. But he has been Elmo since 2013.
They're much faster to replace performers on Sesame Street than in Muppets at Large, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think especially that happened mid-season when Kevin Clash resigned. So I think Kevin Clash's last season was season 44, and I think so season 44, half of that season has Kevin Clash performances, and the other half has Ryan Dillon performances.
Okay.
And worth highlighting that Peter Linz, performer for Ernie, Walter, and more, also did the voice of Elmo one time because there was a grand opening ceremony of the Spaghetti Space Chase Dark Ride at Universal Studios Singapore, which is a Sesame Street themed ride, apparently.
Uh-huh.
And they were having a walk around Elmo there for the grand opening. And they needed somebody to do the voice for the walk around Elmo. And so he recorded some audio that the walk around Elmo would sync their performance to.
Okay.
But apparently Peter Linz did clarify on social media that the recording was a one-time performance. Some background info and fun facts about Elmo. Again, we will not get into everything right now because there's just too much, but I feel like it's worth mentioning his family. He has a mother named May, his father's name is Louie, and sometimes he has a sister named Daisy, who appears in some of the books, but I don't believe has ever appeared in, puppet form.
Uh-huh.
He has had a few pets through the years, most notably a goldfish named Dorothy, and more recently, a dog named Tango that he just
Tango's
adopted.
brand new, right?
Yeah, in 2021. And in the TV movie Cinderelmo, which I have not seen, he also has a dog named Prince, who is later transformed into a literal human prince.
Ew.
Played by, I want to give you 3 guesses, Sam, of a Hollywood actor who would play.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
All right, that's your first guess. You're wrong.
How close?
Pretty far off.
Actual Prince.
No.
Okay.
Maybe closer? Think of the middle ground of exactly between Prince and Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Will Smith?
Nope. It's French Stewart.
What? Okay, wait a minute. That is actually pretty accurate, your description of French Stewart. That makes sense.
There's a
Keep you
spectrum
in the
that
middle
goes
of
from...
the Animorphs book cover where Jonathan Taylor Thomas is morphing into Prince.
Oh, God damn it, Sam. Now I'm going to have to Photoshop that. In season 46, which I believe is the first season when HBO took over the production of Sesame Street, they decided to change things up and shift the set around a lot, and also not write any roles for the old humans we liked having around.
Yeah.
It's worth, yes. Season 46 seems very contentious if you look into it because Sonia Manzano retired before that season. And then sort of around that same time, I think Gordon, Luis, and Bob and Susan all sort of also retired, but not really by choice. It turned out that the season 46 writers just didn't write any roles or parts for them for season 46. And so they were like,
Yeesh.
I guess we're done.
That sucks.
Yeah, and sending even more of a clear message, in season 46, Elmo's family moves into the apartment that was previously Susan and Gordon's.
Oh, what
And
the
I
hell?
don't think it's addressed. I don't think they say like, oh, Susan and Gordon had to move out, so we're here now. I think he
Yeah.
just lives there.
So weird.
Yeah. And a couple other fun Elmo fun facts. An Elmo cameo was apparently written into the 2011 Muppets movie, but Jason Segel and Nick Stoller explained that it would have been too expensive to actually get Elmo to appear in their movie.
Uh-huh.
And the last little fun fact is that since 1987, all Elmos, including the ones that are produced for international productions, have been built by Raleigh Cruson. She
Whoa.
insists that she is the only person who can build a great Elmo right now. So
That's wild.
I guess I'm putting that on Raleigh Cruson. I'm not saying she is like megalomaniacal about her Elmo productions, but
Yeah.
there's like a perfectionist thing there that maybe everyone else is like, yeah, Raleigh makes the best Elmos. So
That seems such a punishment almost.
you can
to
only make
that
Elmo
many
forever.
Elmos. Yeah.
Well, and there's some quotes out there from Kevin Clash who talked about that the fact that there was like 9 different Elmos back when they were in prime Elmo time, between like remote control ones they would use on blue screen, ones that were like only like half of the body up, and like there was some live hand Elmos they made to pick things up. But yes, Sam, that is, barely scratching the surface of Elmo. So I will ask you now, what would you rate Elmo out of 10?
God, I need to learn more about him because my gut is that I hate Elmo because it feels like Grover, a less good Grover to me. So I'm going to give him God, what is there even like about Elmo? I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10.
Wow. See,
Fuck Elmo.
Something, I had a Tickle Me Elmo during the craze.
Yeah.
I was like holding out that I was like still kind of into Elmo. Even, I was like 9 when Tickle Me Elmo came out. That feels too old to want a Tickle Me Elmo. But I think,
yeah, but
even
everybody did. People were being trampled in stores for Tickle Me Elmo.
Even back then I was a collector and wanting to own all the things that people wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, my gut says to give Elmo an 8 right now.
Okay, that's insane to me.
I am also, I think, taking into account his impact on the world of Muppets. Because he has done so much for Sesame Street, I think, and for the popularity of Muppets in general, that if you asked people to name like 4 Muppets, he's probably going to be one of the first 4.
Elmo, probably. Kermit, Elmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
or
that's,
Kermit, Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, Elmo. Maybe something like that.
Piggy might eke in there too.
Yeah, it could be.
But yes, I think that's also part of it. Is I'm just, I think he is like so impactful as a character on the world that it's hard for me to like not rate him an 8. So he gets an 8 for now. He might, slip a little bit in the future, but we'll see.
Maybe I'll like him way better too, because I've liked a lot of other guys way better.
He does have some very good, charming TV show appearances, like on talk shows and things, where I think you'll start to like him a little bit more, at least than a 4. Did you have time to watch any non-Muppet things this week?
Pretty much the only big thing I did was go see The Northman. You know The Northman?
That's the Skarsgård Viking movie?
The new David Eggers Skarsgård Viking movie. And if you liked The Lighthouse, another David Eggers movie, you probably like this. Did you see The Lighthouse?
I did not.
Do you know that one?
I'm aware of it. It's like Robert Pattinson wants to have sex with a seagull or something like that.
No, not really.
No?
He kills a seagull and then he hallucinates a mermaid that he does want to have sex with.
Oh, close enough.
And then he and Willem Dafoe go insane. This one does have Willem Dafoe going insane, but it's like a very straightforward. It's good. It's beautiful. It's a Viking revenge tale with magical realism kind of sprinkled into it. Very different than The Lighthouse, which is kind of more of like almost like a poem, or it's like weird. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. This movie is like makes sense. But there's some fucking cool battle scenes and some fucking cool gore and heads getting chopped off and stuff. And it was good. It was fun. I don't really know why we went to see it, but we just thought, that looks fun. And it was. Skarsgård catches a spear out of midair and then throws it through the head of the person who threw the spear at him. And that's kind of all you need in a movie, in my opinion.
Are there 2 Dave Eggers? Robert Eggers.
Robert
okay,
Eggers.
this makes a lot more sense
I'm
to me
issuing a
now.
correction. Robert Eggers is the director.
Okay, that makes so much more sense because David Eggers,
is a writer.
he's a writer. He wrote like Where the Wild Things Are and like Away We Go
A
and some like
work of whatever. Yeah.
like sad indie things, and he's written a lot of really good novels. And so I was like, that guy
I was
made
confused.
The Northman.
I was
Lighthouse?
confused about that for a long time too, because I thought the same thing, and then I looked it up. And I was like, oh yeah. But then I
Okay.
get their names confused.
That makes a lot more sense. But yes,
Robert
okay.
Eggers. Yes.
Well, on the topic of Robert Pattinson, I finally watched The Batman.
When were we talking about Robert Pattinson?
You said The Lighthouse.
Oh yeah. What'd you think of it?
I loved it.
I think it's so good.
It's very good. Oh, yeah. I don't want to like spoil it for anybody, but I highly recommend if you already have HBO Max because you're watching these episodes of Sesame Street,
Yeah.
head on over there and watch
Might
The
as well just
Batman.
watch a 3.5 hour long Batman movie.
It's a little less than 3 hours, Sam.
That's true. It is exactly what I want in a Batman movie. And I think it's dumb that a lot of people are like, it's so serious, when it's like the silliest Batman movie in a long time. There's actual funny jokes in it, and like, I don't know, it's gritty, but it's not dark, really. It's fun.
There are some fucked up things that happen in it.
Yeah.
That are more fucked up than the average Batman movie.
But it feels more like a cartoon than like the Dark Knight trilogy, in my opinion. Like, think of the sets of like very cartoony Gotham, and like how big and like how big everything is. You know?
That's true. And like Bruce Wayne's home is this like gothic castle looking thing
Yeah.
that you're just like, that's a cartoon.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
lives in a house like that. But yeah, I think it's great. I can't wait to see more. I'm glad they're planning on doing more because I was kind of afraid this was going to be like a one and done thing. But they're planning on doing at least 2 more and some TV show spinoffs. So
It's so stupid fun.
and both Paul Dano and Colin Farrell, fantastic.
Yeah, Colin Farrell. Just yesterday, Rachel realized that was Colin Farrell because she watched a makeup video.
Yeah,
and it was
you could
like,
very
why?
easily not know that is Colin Farrell.
Yeah, there's no reason for it to be Colin Farrell, really.
But he's so good at his Robert De Niro impression.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's like one of the big highlights of the movie. And a little bit of a spoiler, I was so relieved he didn't die because they kill Batman bad guys at the end of every Batman movie, and I hate that. Like, every superhero movie kills all the guys at the end, which is like, well, who are you gonna fight now? But this one is like, live to fight another day and keep doing that insane impression.
But before we go, we need to let you know what we're going to watch next time. And next week, we're going to be watching our last piece of 1970s media.
Ooh.
We're going to be celebrating Christmas in May as we watch John Denver and the Muppets celebrate Christmas together
Oh, this pleases me greatly.
in the special that's appropriately named John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together.
Never seen it. Never even heard of this one until recently.
You had heard of the album, right? But not
Just the
special.
album, yeah.
And you can watch this. It's on YouTube and on archive.org. And as usual, the archive.org version looks better, but is much clunkier to try and watch. So
It will take 4 minutes to load.
yeah, pick your battles. I always suggest if you're going to watch something on archive.org to download it first and just watch it on your computer or something, because the streaming quality on archive.org is
You're
garbage.
going to have problems.
But it does look much, much better on the archive.org version.
Huh.
We need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget, you can head on over to commitment.com to pick up a Commitment logo enamel pin and check out our Patreon page where you can help support the podcast and see our live streams that we're now doing monthly. We're playing some Muppet video games and hanging out and just talking to you. You can email us at mail@commitment.com if you have any questions or links to secret dark web Muppet things that we haven't been able to track down. You can follow this podcast on the internet, both on Twitter and Instagram at CommitmentPod, where every week we will post about the things we are going to watch, along with fun clips that we pull from the episode, and just, retweet fun Muppet artists and things. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.